Welcome back to Chasing the Dream. I'm Ethan Chazin, and I'm excited, so excited to have our guest today, Mark Iorio, managing partner of the Brand and Culture Alignment Technology Group. And BCAT, their toolkit, their proprietary toolkit, is designed to align teams around their collective purpose and inspire each member of a team to become the best version of themselves in support of the people and communities that the team serves. BCAT is a science-based solution that consists of instruments that measure and map the collective perception of an organization's North Star. Man, I love this. Their role target and the practical behavioral methods that help each member of a team embrace and align with their organization's North Star. So as if that weren't enough, in addition to being managing partner of BCAT, Mark is the founder of Mega Group Communications. He's the host of RVN TV, and that's how we met each other. I appeared on his Rainmakers Roundup, which the program is focused on innovations and news around sales and marketing. And he's also the co-host of another program, The Advocates, focusing on people helping people. So Mark, welcome to Chasing the Dream.
Thanks, Ethan. Great to be with you, my friend.
Man, I'm so looking forward to this. And, as folks who've maybe watched a few other episodes know, I just dive into the deep end and check if there's water in the pool.
Oh, yeah.
So I gotta jump right into BCAT. I mean, how did this come about?
It's a really cool story, honestly. I started working, so I started my business, the Mega Group, back in 1987. And around 2000 or so, AAA Mid-Atlantic, which was in Philadelphia at the time, they were headquartered in Philly. They called us in, and we were doing a little bit of marketing work for them. But Bill Harris called us in. He was a managing director of marketing, or managing director of marketing. And he said, "Hey, can you guys come in and help us with our internal branding?" And I'm like, "What? I'm not really even sure what that is." So he kind of gave us a clean slate, Ethan. He said, "Listen, I need help with our associates delivering on the brand promise." And I'm okay. So we had maybe 35, 40 people at the time. We started to go. I took the staff to a few of the staff members to these Advanced Learning Institute conferences around the United States, learning more about what an internal brand was, how you deliver on a brand promise, etc. And I loved it. I mean, we embarked on a 3-year program with AAA. We helped their retail side, their call centers, their administrative staff start to learn how to deliver on the brand promise. And I fell in love with it because my background was I was a baseball coach. I was a baseball player, played college baseball, coached, and I always wanted to see people become a better version of themselves. And then that happened. And then 10 years ago or 11 years ago, I met my partner, Al Cini, and Al was working on audience research at NBC Universal, doing the same thing, but using this 4-factor model that was developed back in the 30s by Carl Jung, or actually before then. It was probably 1,000 years old, honestly.
Yep.
And we turned it into a team, basically a team. He hates this word, but I'm going to use it for the audience. It's kind of a team archetype, right? The 4-factor model, and we designed it so that it became something that a team could use.
Yeah. I guess anybody who, as you said, it may go back 1,000 years to Greece, or it may be Carl Jung's kind of construct of the 4 different types of personality, whether it's Myers-Briggs or DISC. But
yep.
I guess my fascination with how you approach this is, how does it get alignment in terms of people working together? And then where is the dovetail into the organization's essence, its culture, its brand, and especially around forming people's behaviors together? I'm really kind of fascinated on how that kind of work progressed.
Oh, I played baseball. I mean, we faced some pretty tough hitters. You just threw me a softball. Thank you.
As long as you hit into a triple play.
Triple play. Oh my gosh. So here's how it starts. So imagine what we try to do a lot of times is get people to think about or orient their thinking around a person in their lives that has made an impact.
Mhm.
A role model in your life that you've emulated, that you wanted to be like, you wanted to behave like them. You may want to dress like them. You certainly speak like them. You treat others like they would treat others. And excuse me, they had this really um, huge impact on who you are as a human being. And if you can start that way and then personify your team that way, think about your team as though it were a single person doing its best work on its best day. Excuse me, that's how this process begins. So think about your team as though it were a single person doing its best work on its best day to deliver all of its promises and achieve all of its goals. What does that look like?
So it
And
sounds like, just to kind of jump in here, it sounds a little bit like behavioral modeling, where ideally you have somebody who is in some kind of role there as almost a, dare I say, a transformational leader type, where you can kind of espouse their behaviors and model that. But what if you don't have somebody internal to the organization? Or here's another question, because I didn't want to give you too many softballs. What if the culture, the formal culture, what the organization claims it's like to be there, that's aspirational. What if it's not in alignment with its informal culture? So what if there's a dichotomy going on there? What's your kind of guidance there?
so when you take our survey, when you start our survey and you think of this avatar, this thing as though it were a person, this team as though it were a person.
Okay. Team
When you
is
start to
person. Team is person. Okay.
team is a person, your
Okay.
team is a person. I'm dealing with a cold, so I'm sorry. So when you think of this person, you start to select these adjectives in our survey instrument.
Mhm.
And over the course of time, that frontal cortex lights up. You start to think of it in those four quadrants, those innovative teams, expressive, transformational, outside the box thinkers, teams that are more direct, perhaps, that are more demanding, teams that are more expert, precision based, analytical, data driven, teams that are a little bit more about harmony, caretaker. And as you select these specific words when you're describing this team, that frontal cortex lights up. We then take your results, all 80 questions or all 80 exercises, and we plot it on the scattergram. So
Mhm.
that's where Ethan thinks the company ought to be or the team ought to be. We're
As
not
reflective in a collective set of ideal people, attributes, characteristics, behaviors.
exactly.
So it's almost like an ideal employee word cloud.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly what it is.
Okay.
And
Okay.
that's your impression of where the team is supposed to be. You land in a specific spot on the scattergram. We'll take everyone else's results and do the same exact thing, and then take an average. Once we understand where that average is, we then get into a workshop setting where we ask everyone if that's really where we want to be, or do we want to move that dot elsewhere on that scattergram, on that quadrant. Wherever we land, what falls out of that are a series of attributes that align specifically with where we landed on that model, right? So if you're more of an innovative organization, the behavioral characteristics of your organization or your team are going to be modeled mostly after creativity and transformation and expressiveness. And so the behaviors, the words you use, perhaps even the way you dress, will emulate where you land on that specific,
Mhm.
scattergram. Once we understand that and we start to build a series of behaviors or aligned inspirations, then we pass that around to everyone inside the organization and ask them to commit to doing one or two things each day, a promise or a commitment or contribution each day that are observable changes in their own little behavior that everyone can see. that help migrate the culture of the organization toward this new North Star, right? So, and then we ask them to write down an accountability partner for support that says, hey, Ethan, I promise to become a little bit more open in my conversations with people rather than me being so abrupt and cutting people off. The fact that we're an expressive or transformational organization and you come to me with ideas every week, I've been shutting you down. I'm going to be a little bit more open about your ideas, and I'm going to write them down when we chat about them, and I'm going to shoot you back an idea, and we're, or maybe what we talked about, and make sure that we talked about the thing that you wanted to talk about, so that you could see that my behavior is actually changing.
I what's kind of resonating with me as you kind of create this imagery, it's really evocative, but it's like an organizational set of values. This is our values construct, and this is how, as individuals, we behave in conformity with those values. So now you're getting people in alignment behaviorally with the values of the organization. I guess, how do you do that in such a way that fosters behaviors around those core values, but still maintain a truly diverse and inclusive workforce where you honor differences as well as ensuring behavioral attributes that match the values?
So,
like, how do you not lose the essence of the individual while making sure that they behave in accordance with the values?
it's first of all, everyone in the organization has a voice in this. No one can be wrong, and whatever it is they choose to do,
Okay.
it's their own choosing. So let me give you an example. I don't know if you like baseball. I use the baseball analogy because that's what I did.
It works. Let's stick with that.
So let's say you and another fella are shortstops, and I come to you. I'm a manager. I'm a coach. I say, Ethan, listen, you're a great shortstop. You have great range. You're a great leader. You have a great arm, and I love your skill set out there. But there's two of you, and you have fairly equal skill sets. You're a right-handed batter. He's a left-handed batter. I could platoon the two of you every other game, or we need a center fielder.
Also,
And
good range, strong arm, the quarterback of the outfield.
And since you're a great leader, I'd like you to think about becoming our starting center fielder. And as a coach, I promise that I will hit you 1,000 ground balls and fly balls a week in order for you to become the best center fielder we have, right? Which will help the team. And you're not doing anything different other than learning a new skill set, right? Or you're enhancing your skill set, but I need you as part of this team. So I'm not saying that the diverse skill that you have as a player, I'm mitigating that in any way or trivializing that in any way. In fact, what I'm doing